Happy Friday the 13th.
Happy Friday the 13th.
How are you?
I am good. I wish I could get a Friday the 13th tattoo because I've gotten 3 of them and I'm mick depressed.
Oh, I've never gotten a Friday the 13th tattoo. The one time I went to do it in college, I had a class at like 11 a.m. and then I didn't have another one until 4 p.m. So I was like, okay, I can do it this time. And then I waited and waited, obviously, because,
There's a huge line every single time.
yeah, and especially because I don't go anywhere. So I went to UCF. So it's very busy. So I waited and waited and waited, and it got to be 3:30 in the afternoon. So I waited there for 4.5 hours, and I
And
was like,
still
shit, I
couldn't.
gotta go.
You're like, I
So,
literally can't wait any longer. I have to leave.
so I literally had to just go. It is what it is.
The one I got on my ankle, it took 2 hours. The one I got on my other ankle took probably 2 hours as well. I've only waited about 2 or 3 hours at most, and it's because I go way later now. Like I'll go at like 4 or 5 instead of like right when they open because that's when the line is
Oh,
longest.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, and I try and tip as well as I can because like obviously the tattoos are usually $13, so I try to
yeah,
tip as if it was a normal price tattoo, and most like shops have a minimum, so it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
they have like I don't know 75, 80. I tip 20% of whatever. Or
yeah.
more. I think I had tipped someone. It is what it is, but I do miss being tattooed, and I want a tattoo so bad. I miss it. I haven't gotten a tattoo since last year.
Oh,
Cries.
geez, I haven't had a tattoo in a couple of years. I need to get a tattoo because the only tattoos I have right now.
On your shoulders, right?
Well, no, I have one on my shoulder and one on my arm,
Oh, I forgot
but
about the one on your arm. How did I forget
yeah.
about that one?
Anyway, I want to say a special thank you to our episode sponsor today is a black cat appropriate for Friday the 13th. It is my Pantherlily, and he is our sponsor today because I did not know he was in the guest room when I came in here to record, and then
And
suddenly he
he's
like
like,
popped
"What up,
out.
bitch? I'm in on this too. We
Yeah.
recording."
Yeah. So our episode sponsor appropriately for Friday the 13th is my black cat Pantherlily, and I love him.
Once you post a picture of him on our website, people are gonna be like, "That just looks like Wes."
I know. They do look very similar. Pantherlily is a black Siamese though, so I don't know if maybe they look a little bit different.
I don't
I
know.
haven't.
I haven't seen Pantherlily in a while, like in person, so I can't tell.
That's true.
I
That's
don't
true.
think we know
I
what
think
kind of cat Wes is. I think he's just, like the
a
generic
cat.
short hair. Yeah, like
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
like he's a normal black cat. There you go.
Yeah, yeah. Pantherlily is black Siamese. He looks different than most like domestic short hairs, but he is still my handsome asshole. I
Yeah,
know.
he is kind of
Ow.
an asshole as he
But
fucks
I
you
love
up.
him. I know, but I love him anyway. Anyway,
Well, welcome to our first listeners episode
yeah.
where we talk about your guys' stories, and hopefully we can do this more often in the future, or at least for every Friday the 13th, just because why not change it up a little bit and have some
Yeah.
appropriate like feedback. Like I love having us blind react to our like spooky stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like it's gonna be more fun reacting to real stories of,
Real life stories, yeah.
not like the other things
Well,
don't aren't real, like
but it's
murder,
like
but
we are more closely connected to these people because they are, I don't
listeners.
know. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. How exciting. And the next Friday the 13th is not until August. So you guys have plenty of time to
Yeah,
submit to us
seriously.
those stories.
We'll definitely have plenty of time to gather some stuff up and see
Hmm.
if I can find any interesting stories. But yeah, where do you want me to start? Do you want to start?
You can start.
Okay. So, my first story is from Ghost Cats or Ghost Cats Live that listen to us, and he is a friend of mine, which I'm sure you have seen us interacting on our Instagram and or Twitches.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but he has some interesting stories, and he's also had a very interesting life in general. And please watch his streams with him and his friend Asher. They're really, really great. They have really great chemistry, super witty, both of them. Yeah, I really like their stuff. Twitch and I think their Twitch is just Ghost Cats Live. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
take a look at their stuff. Super cool. So he told me he had a story that he wanted to submit. So I'm just gonna read it word for word the way he wrote it because I think that's the best way to read it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he said, there's a, which is hilarious because I will tie into this later. Most of the stories that I have talked about are about St. Augustine, which is so fucking funny.
Oh.
From being from, how we're from Central Florida. I've been to St.
Yeah.
Augustine so many times. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he wrote, there's a true crime slash paranormal museum in Old St. Augustine called Wolf's Museum of Mystery. They have all kinds of voodoo, artifacts, and weird oddity stuff, and even some most likely fake Area 51 stuff. But in the lobby, there's a big, super old wolf that just lays in the middle of the floor and wags his tail a little when you walk in. Brittany and I, that's his wife, sat on the floor and pet him and played with his paws for a few minutes. He loved it. Big old mush bucket. So we go
Oh.
upstairs where there's only one room that's filled with tons of true crime shit, photos of serial killers, and mafia enforcers taken by the owners of the museum. Nazi helmets with huge mortar shell holes in them, tons of insane shit. Anyway, turns out the owner of the museum wrote back and forth in correspondence with Charles Manson for
Oh.
a while and met up with him a few times, even had the postcards they wrote back and forth framed up on the wall. There's a
Weird.
Polaroid next to one of the postcards with Charles Manson sitting on the couch with a little wolf puppy in his lap, and it looked really familiar. We peeked down the stairs and noticed the wolf we had been playing with had the exact same fur markings as the puppy in Manson's lap, and was the right age for him to have been a puppy for when it was taken, because that wolf was old as fuck. That's what he said. There was also some cool John Wayne Gacy stuff, like I think one of his shirts or something, but at the very least, it'll give you guys a cool Florida true crime destination to check out. There is a weird cryptid and circus freak stuff and an Amazon blood chalice. So the first story is basically just labeled "I pet Charles Manson's dog." And very interesting though. Anyways,
Yeah. Okay.
what's your
So
story?
so I have a story from my father who has contributed to the podcast before. Yeah, my dad is just a little bit of background on him. He worked at the Space Center. He's a literal rocket scientist. So he's very science brained, and I don't know if I would consider him a skeptic because he likes spooky stories and ghost stories and things like that. I don't
He
know
just
if
always thinks of things in a science manner instead of like
yeah.
a spiritual manner.
Yeah, so this story, I have been telling him that the house, that our summer house in Pennsylvania is haunted for years, and he's just like, no, it's not. I've never had an experience. So this story is called the Blairsville House Story. Blairsville, Pennsylvania is where my summer home is located. I'm just going to read this verbatim. It was actually a recording that I had captured of him telling the story, and then I transcribed it. So here we go. So this is the summer house that you know of from your youth, right? We've been going up there forever, and I've never experienced anything, not a damn thing, ever. Going up there for the last 30 years, I have never experienced anything weird. So, a bit of backstory. This house used to be a monastery many, many years ago and was also attached to the next door neighbor's house. The house eventually was converted into a duplex, and so there's a whole apartment downstairs and then a whole separate apartment upstairs. The whole house is now currently under renovation that my uncle, my mom's brother, has been doing. So, we once had a dog named Trixie, and she would go and sit in the master bedroom upstairs and look at the top of the closet toward the attic. And she would bark, she would fuss, she would whine and grumble, and there was just nothing up there. The entrance to the attic was not even there. It's actually in the upstairs kitchen, which is on the opposite end of the house from the bedroom closet that she would fuss at. She would fuss, she would whine and grumble, and there was nothing up there. The entrance to the attic is not there. It's actually in the upstairs kitchen, which is on the opposite end of the house from the bedroom closet she would fuss at. Anyway, so we go up this trip, which the trip that he's referencing like happened at like the beginning of October. So we go up this trip like we've done a millions of times. And we get there on a Monday morning. We unpack. I brought a pair of gloves in case it was going to be cold. I put them on the top shelf in the middle of the shelf in the closet. So we spend the week in Pennsylvania pulling clothes out of the closet, going in and out of the closet Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We get to Sunday now and we're packing for the trip back. Your mother's got her suitcase on the bed. I've got my suitcase on the bed. She's loading hers. I load mine. She leaves the room to do something. I am standing near the corner of the bed, which is adjacent to the opening of the closet, and I stand there with my hands on my hips, talking out loud like you know I do, and asking myself, what the hell am I forgetting? There's something I am forgetting to pack. Well, you know how I am. After a minute, I'm like, fuck it, I can't remember. Right there and then, the gloves that I had put up there a week ago fall, hit the empty hangers, and plop to the ground just out of the blue. Now, I find it strange because A, it was that closet that the dog would always bark at, and B, the thing that had been up there all week, and we had been in and out of that closet all week, and now, after I make my statement, what am I forgetting? This thing falls to the ground. So the gloves fall, and I take them over to your mother, and I tell her the story, and we laugh about it, and then I toss them into the luggage, and I'm done with it. So I'm standing there again, and now there's this little NASA pouch that's been up there for years. It has those stickers and games and things in it. You remember? And yes, I remember. For like a tiny bit of context, like my dad would bring like little NASA pouches with things in it for like my friends in Pennsylvania when we were kids. So that thing falls, and that's been up there for years. And I'm like, what the fuck at this point? I'm like, this is starting to get weird. So I pick it up and I say, okay, fine. And I rationalize it like, well, we've been in and out of the closet, jostling, moving stuff around. Maybe it just coincidentally falls also. So I take the bag thing, I kind of flatten it, I put it on top of a vinyl record player that has a nice, very flat, very square plastic covering, put it up there on top, patted it down and made sure that it wouldn't fall, walked away, and the damn thing falls.
Man, this ghost is like, fuck your shit.
Yeah, really. Like within 2 or 3 seconds, it falls. And now I'm looking up at the closet like, fuck you, people.
Literally.
Okay, so I take the time to really flatten that plastic bag, get it really nice and square, take the time to really pat it up there again on top of the record player. I walk away, and that was the end of it. Later in the recording, I had told him, I'm going to laugh if that thing is on the floor next time you go up. And if it is, he says he'll be sending us a picture. So
That's
that's
really
the
fucking
story of
funny.
my dad's very first paranormal experience in this house that they've been visiting for 30 years.
I wonder why it chose to manifest then, but it's still really fucking funny.
Well, the house, I think I said at the beginning, it's been under renovation lately. Like my uncle has been ripping shit up in there. There was a whole chimney in there that he like demolished down to the basement.
Maybe that's why is
So,
like
yeah.
when you disturb the place that they're in, they're like, why
Yeah.
are you changing it? This is how I like
Yeah.
it.
That's what I told my dad. I was like, spirits don't like when you change things like that, especially that drastically.
Which is probably why he's like,
Yeah.
why is this happening to me? And the ghosts are like, put it back.
Yeah, essentially. So that was my dad's Blairsville story. So I guess it's your turn again.
Okay, so art gallery underscore dumpster cat via Instagram messaged me and said, hi guys, I love the show. Please say hi to all of the doggos for me. So excited to share this spooky encounter. All right, so I assume you all know about the St. Augustine Lighthouse and how it is extremely haunted. I don't know what it is about lighthouses in particular, but they seem to attract spirit energy like nothing else. Maybe something to do with the whole idea of going towards the light question mark? I
Oh,
didn't
that's
think about
actually
that.
not. Yeah, that's not something I
Or
ever
like, ooh,
considered.
big bright light, I am moth. Hello, light.
Oh, wow. What an interesting thought
That is
process.
interesting. And then
Yeah.
she continues saying, well, anyway, my family went on vacation to St. Augustine when I was about 13, and this included obligatory stops at all of the most haunted locales: the old jail, the Castillo de San Marcos, Harry's, and of course, the St. Augustine Lighthouse. The lighthouse consists of a history center, an archaeology lab, the lighthouse itself, and the lighthouse keeper's home. Attached below is a picture of my mom snapped of the very cool spiral staircase located inside of the lighthouse's keeper's home, which at the time was a faithful recreation of what the interior looked like in the 1800s. So I'm going to send you the picture and then I will continue.
Okay. Okay.
Tell me when you get it.
Okay, I will.
Okay, I'm going to read.
Okay, I am looking at the.
Okay,
Wait, her mom is. Coming up the stairs. Is that what it is?
no. So there was no one on the staircase when my mom took this picture. The figure that appears in said photograph was only noticed when we were back home, going through snapshots of the day. I don't know about you guys, but I see a woman in a long blue dress with light hair, or maybe it's a cap on her head. What do you think?
Oh my
It's
god!
so fucking creepy.
Holy shit! No,
It's
that
so creepy.
I legit thought that was her mom.
No, her mom
What
took the
the
photo.
fuck? Holy shit!
It's literally like a full body apparition.
Yeah, and now that like I zoomed in on it, you can kind of see through like her torso to the back of
You
the
can see
staircase.
that, and you can see that she's not wearing something of this time period either.
Holy shit.
Isn't that cool?
Oh, I just got the chills. Oh, dude.
It's really gross. Like, I hate it. Like, the more I look at it, the more I'm like, "Ugh."
Oh man. Okay, to see a picture of that, you can visit our website at ghoulgaminggals.com because I'm absolutely, as long as you'll have to message this person back and find out if it's okay for me to post it on the website.
Okay, I did message her. I'll have to confirm whether she said it was okay or not.
Okay, okay. Alrighty. Oh, that gave me chills.
It's literally like a full body apparition of a woman on the staircase. It is really creepy.
Yeah. Oh, anyway, so this submission gets from a listener by the name of Courtney. So thank you, Courtney.
Thank
Uh,
you,
the
Courtney.
story,
Very nice.
the story topic says broken plate. This was back when I and my husband were living in an apartment above my parents' garage, and that place was super haunted. Once I had engraved a picture of two of my friends who had recently gotten engaged for an engagement gift and had sat it on the table for like a whole week, not in the sun or anything that would damage it. And then one night, my husband and I, heard a crack, and the plate that had sat untouched on the table for a week split and cracked directly between the two persons' faces.
What the fuck?
Whatever that entity was also threw a metal ball at me once, and on another night started cranking a jack in the box in the middle of the night.
That is fucking terrifying. No one needs
Absolutely
a
not.
jack in the box going off in the middle of the night like this is
Yeah.
fucking The Conjuring. Like, what?
Yeah. So that was the story. It was a little bit short, but that ghost, I guess, did not like people in love.
It was like, you're having such a good time. It'd be a shame if something were to happen.
Yeah, really. That is creepy. I don't like the jack in the box in the middle of the night.
That's the worst one, I think.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
uh,
no, I'm
so
good.
so thank you, Courtney, for sharing that with us.
Thank you, Courtney.
Thanks. I hate it.
Thanks. It made me uncomfortable. I appreciate it. Oh my god.
Oh
And
man.
then I have one last submission, and it does happen
Okay.
to be from Brad of Ghost Cats again, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
too good.
That's fine.
He said, and I'm reading it word for word, just so you know. There's a massive Indian burial mound between Helen and Cleveland, Georgia, where a lot of ghost sightings have been reported, and some
Okay.
other weird stuff. I used to work at a subway in Helen, and after a night doing inventory, I was leaving about 3 a.m. and was on my roughly 30-minute drive home. There's a long stretch of road where there's no houses. It's North Georgia, so there's no streetlights. 90% of local roads are pitch black at night. So I'm about 20 minutes from my place when I see a weird movement in the tree line. I usually stop or at least slow down in case a deer decides to bolt out of the trees at the last second. I stop and honk a couple times and flicker my lights to try and see if I can spook it away from the road at least. What came out, I can only describe as some sort of broken looking animal that lurched and twitched in weird, janky directions. I only saw it
Oh
for a couple
no.
of seconds because it popped out of the tree line and then it moved backward into the woods. It came out as
Oh.
if it just wanted to show me it was there. For something that
Ew.
looked like its limbs shouldn't work properly, it moved fucking fast. And
Ew.
it dipped out before I could really process what the hell I was looking at. I've seen plenty of deer and even some emu. in northern Georgia. Not a crime story, but there's an interesting reason there's emu living natively in Georgia.
Okay.
But this thing was definitely not a regular animal. After doing some research, it turned out a lot of people have cited seeing skinwalkers and stories of Native American curses
Oh.
manifesting around that burial mound. It
Oh
yeah,
no.
it have been being as fucked up as it looked. I don't know if it was a skinwalker exactly, but if it sounds anything like something you guys have read about, I'd like to know. It kind of sounds like a Wendigo.
I was gonna say it kind of sound you took the words literally out of my mouth. Ew, whatever it is, another thanks I hate it moment.
Yeah.
Ew.
Um, as someone that is going to Georgia in like 2 weeks, I'm like, what?
Oh, that's true. That's true.
I think skinwalkers are a little bit different, but not too
Mhm.
far off. Let me see. I think he wrote more. He said, also, by the way, for some setting, the Skinwalker story happened around early November of 2010.
Oh, so this was
Uh,
like okay.
And then here's a side note for people that have listened this far. He said, by the way, my wife felt like she was gonna barf as soon as she went into the true crime room at Wolf's. She isn't a fan of true crime or anything, so she really didn't know who any of the people in the photos were or what any of the newspaper clippings or anything were about. But she had a borderline anxiety episode as soon as we walked in, and we ended up leaving after a couple of minutes. They also had a room full of props from the sets horror movies were where they do screening parties where you get drunk and watch slasher flicks with your friends in, which was actually pretty cool. And then he also said the museum burned down last year and the cause is unknown.
Oh.
The museum burned down last year and the cause is unknown. So that's very interesting considering it's
Mm.
a hot spot. Like when there's that much, I feel like true crime and other
Oh yeah,
memorabilia
there's a lot of
that like
energy in
yeah,
that building.
exactly.
Well, I guess I will. Are you done with yours?
Yeah, that's it, I think.
Okay,
Oh,
cool.
he said they're opening a new museum in Friendship, New York. So the old
Oh.
one burned down and they're doing a new one.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll have to go to New York then.
Yeah.
I have one last listener story. So this is from a listener named Caitlin. So thank you, Caitlin. A little backstory on this house that I live in. My great grandmother was found burnt to death in the yard.
What? That's how we're starting the story?
That's how we're starting the story.
Oh, Lord.
My son Parker, 2 years old, is the fifth generation to live here. Why didn't your family move after your
I would have
great
been like,
grandmother was
you
found
know what?
burnt
This
to
is
death?
too sad. I gotta go.
Yeah, honestly. When I was little and my mother still lived here, we would sit outside and look at the stars. She said there was one night where we were sitting out there and she saw an apparition of a woman in a nightgown walking along the lake. Crazy part is, my grandmother's nightgown is the whole reason she went up in flames.
Did it just like catch on fire or spontaneously combust?
There is no further there is no further
I wish
explanation.
there was more context. What does that mean? It's
I don't
like
know.
it's like saying like, yeah, the house lit on fire. Of course, it was my Funko Pop. Duh. And it's like, what happened? Like, where's the connection? I'm confused.
uh
Okay,
anyway.
my mind is wandering. It's like,
Yeah,
did
I
she
don't
have
know.
like a bunch of ground candles and then her nightgown? She like walked through the ground candles and it like lit on
Maybe
fire.
because if it was her great grandmother, then it might have been, yeah, I guess.
It's
Okay, I
creepy,
don't know.
so creepy.
Anyway, I've always really had experiences here. We would hear someone in the kitchen going through the cabinets. We see shadows, things walking through the light, orbs, etc. Sometimes it even sounds like we have a cat in the house. There is no cat in the
Cat?
house.
Oh no, thank you.
So, when my son Parker was about 9 months old, I found him sitting in the middle of his bedroom floor, crisscross. He wasn't crying or anything, just sat there. No indication as to how he got out of his bed. He never got out of it before or after that day. It was as if someone picked him up and set him there.
No, thank you.
Oh my god. There was one time I was watching his baby monitor. He couldn't get settled in his bed and he just kept crying. There was an orb that would fly around his room as if it was trying to distract him, as maybe a baby mobile would, flying in circles around the ceiling. He would stop crying for a little bit to watch it. It would disappear off the screen and he would start crying again. Right back it came flying in circles on the ceiling. It went on for a while. At one point, he stuck his hand between the bars of the crib, just enough so that his hand would hang out. So the orb flew straight to his hand and sat there for a second. He was completely calm, and I was flabbergasted. Honestly, I've had weird ghostly encounters, but this was straight up confirmation that my child has a guardian angel of some sort, because then it disappeared and he slept the rest of the night. I'll never forget it. I think the scariest experience I've ever had was right after I had Parker. I left him with my grandparents for the day and I came home to get a little rest. I woke up to this dark figure standing in my doorway. It was like I
Ew.
was paralyzed and my mouth was sewn shut. Ah!
Oh my god, she must have had like sleep
Sleep
paralysis.
paralysis. I tried to call for help, but my sound was muffled. I tried to stand up to get a good look at the figure, but I would snap back onto the bed like I never woke up in the first place. I was fighting this
Ew.
force and from taking over my body. I had to fight to get up. My grandpa had died a couple months prior, and I kept crying for his help. When I finally got up, I grabbed my stuff and immediately left the house. I don't tell that story a lot because people think it's crazy.
I don't think that's
I
crazy. I've
don't think
heard
that's crazy.
either it was a very angry spirit or a really aggressive sleep paralysis, but either way, I don't think it's crazy. I think it's very,
No.
very real.
Whew.
Jeez.
This is the last little bit. In my dad's house, which is on the same property, I've seen full-bodied figure walk across the hallway. This was right after the house was remodeled. The whole time my dad was saying, "My grandfather is going to come back to haunt me on this one."
Oh.
Uh, thanks for all you do. Hope you enjoyed. If I think of more, I will definitely send them to you guys.
Oh, that's very nice. Well, thank you
Whew.
for sharing your terrifying story that I will have nightmares about.
Oh
Jesus.
my god. That was a good one.
That wouldn't
Um
give
there
me
is a
goosebumps.
there is a picture. Let me see.
No. Do I
Let
have
me see.
to?
Um I guess you don't
I
have to if
I'm
you
gonna
don't
look
want
at
to.
it.
Okay, so apparently the note on this picture says that the figure there's like a very clear figure of a person walking in front of like there's two figures in the image. The very clear one is her husband, and then the blurry one is another figure that was not standing there,
Oh, okay.
like in real life.
Where are you sending this to me?
I texted it to you.
Okay.
And Kay on accident. So Kay's
Okay.
gonna get this
Kay's gonna
picture
be
and be
like,
like, "What the
what the
fuck?"
fuck? Oh, I'm startled.
Yeah, it looks like you can very clearly see like a head and shoulders and like leg, like the left leg is in front of the right leg almost.
Ew, what the fuck? Is this from their cam?
Yeah, so they have like a camera in the front, but apparently she was like watching her husband come up the walk when this happened, and she went back and saw that the camera had like obviously gotten like a motion detector, and so she looked back at the feed, and this figure was just standing there
Oh,
in
fuck
front of
that.
her husband. Absolutely not.
Ugh.
So, we'll go ahead and post that to the website as well. So, I guess, do you want to share a personal experience?
Would you rather hear a story from my childhood or a story of, you know what? Let's do that because that's
Okay.
more. So, oh god. The thought of it is already making my like skin crawl.
Oh,
So
jeez.
when I was a child, I had, I think, a very innate sense at being sensitive towards that kind of thing in the first place. And
Okay.
I saw a lot of things over my childhood, and as I got older, I stopped. So this was probably one of the last things that I saw before I was like, I don't want to see creepy ghosts and figures anymore, you know. So
Okay.
my last experience that I can remember because it's burned into my fucking, head. I was probably like 12 and my bed was pushed into one corner of the room because at this point I had such a hard time sleeping at night because of it, because I would wake up so often and I was, lack of a better terms, bothered so often that at least pushing my corner in the back of the room made me feel a little more safe, I think. my
I
mom,
get that. Mine was pushed against the when I was a kid,
see,
mine was pushed against the corner for the
and
same reason.
it used to be in the middle of the room, but I just couldn't, I couldn't keep it in like that. Um,
I get it.
so yeah, I had it in the corner, and I remember trying to sleep, and I slept with the TV on because the dark was really scary for me, and again, I did not sleep very well for multiple reasons. But so I go try to go sleep, and my mom used to check up on me because she knew that I didn't sleep well, and frequently would wake up like screaming or running into her room crying or whatever. So if I was asleep or she hadn't seen me in a while and she was up and remembered to, she would check on me like every 2 hours or something. She would come and just look in my room, see if I was asleep, and I would usually just be like, "Yeah, I'm still asleep," or "Yeah, I'm still awake," and she'd be like, "Okay," and she'd walk away. So this one night, I'm laying in my bed and I'm looking at my door frame and I see my mom come up and I just say like, "Yeah, mom, I'm still up. I'm trying to go to sleep." But this time she didn't say anything back, and I just said it again like, "Hi, mom," and she didn't say anything back. So I'm looking at my doorway and I keep saying hello, and then I realize that whatever it is isn't saying hello back. So I realized,
Oh no.
you know when you something really weird happens and you get that like wave of like heat throughout your
Mm.
body,
Oh
kind
yeah.
of like embarrassment heat. It was
Yeah.
kind of like that. There was an entire wave of it through my body, and then I got the chills, and I was like, I like pushed myself in the corner of the wall,
Goodbye.
and I was like, oh no, I was like, that's not my mommy. I was like,
Oh
oh no.
no. Absolutely
So
not.
I start yelling. I start going, "Mom! Mom! Mom!" because I'm so terrified at this point, and the thing is still staring at me,
No. Oh my
and I'm
god.
screaming, and eventually
Janelle, you almost died.
I did it just backed up and went away, and I never saw it again.
Oh
And
no.
it was it was it was disgusting. So basically what my theory is, because it did look like my mom,
Uh-huh.
not completely, but the thing is, so like in the door frame, if anyone were to stand in it, depending on how they were standing in it, at least at this place that we were living at, unless you were like fully in my room, I could not see who it was, like at all. So I could like make out a shape of like a person and that's it. So all I could see was that it looked like a woman and vaguely like my mother, and that's all I could. And I didn't live with any other females, so what else am I gonna I'm just like, "Oh, it's my mom. Like who else would it be?" I talked to my mom about this later, because here's another thing which unrelated but is important,
Mhm.
is that a lot of the time that this stuff happened to me, I would scream and I would yell and try to wake up my parents, and I could never wake them up. And the next day I would tell them like, "Hey, I tried to wake you up last night. Something happened to me." And they're like, "No, you didn't." And I was like, "What the fuck?" Like and that happened a
Oh
lot.
no.
That happened a lot. A lot of my experiences end with me trying to wake my parents up and being unsuccessful and falling asleep in their bed, and they're like, "Why are you in our bed?" And I'm like, "Because I was terrified and I tried to wake you up and you didn't wake up, and I was screaming." And they're like, "You didn't
So
scream."
it was like they didn't like whatever it was not letting them hear you.
Yeah, it was not a good
Oh no.
This place was the worst experiences I've ever had, and I have a billion of them. But my thought process is that this person, because I didn't feel like this thing was gonna hurt me, it was
Mhm.
just there. There was a lot of speculation between my brother and I because he had a lot of similar experiences like this.
Mhm.
My brother and I are twins, and we had a triplet, and our triplet had passed before it was born. So we assume that
Oh.
our triplet at this point was still haunting us in a way because it vaguely looked like me. So I don't know, but that's my
Oh.
one story. But yeah, that's a thing that bothers me still, is my parents were like, yeah, like there's only a couple times they remember they said where they actually heard me screaming, but
Mhm.
as often as it actually happened, they didn't hear most of it, which is really
Wow.
creepy because I do remember like screaming, and the same thing with my brother. Like I would run up to my brother and like grab him and shake him, and he wouldn't wake up.
Mhm.
My mom
Interesting.
told me about a story that she had at that same apartment. I have a couple from that apartment, but my mom told me a story about something coming into her room too, and that she couldn't move, and that she I think she had sleep paralysis, but she was like convinced that whatever came into the room was a real like spirit. but it happened to her too. And I'm like, that apartment needs to burn. Like, it is not a good time. But yeah, that was an interesting time. And I remember, so
What a bad time.
to add on to that, just because I remembered it, I remember talking to my dad a couple days ago, and my dad asked me a question that I didn't think was real. So you know, like you have memories as a kid,
Hmm.
but then you confirm them later that they aren't actual memories; they're like a
Oh,
dream
I
or
have
something.
plenty of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
like, I there's a lot of things in my childhood that I just didn't think were real, and
Hmm.
my dad confirmed one of them for me. So I
Oh
was
no.
talking to my dad the other day, and he was telling me something, and he was talking about this old apartment that we used to live in,
Hmm.
and he was like, "Hey, do you remember when you almost died because someone was trying to choke you out?" And I was like, that's a I remember this thing. So what he means is, in that same apartment, before I push my bed to the corner. This is why I pushed my bed to the corner of the
Oh my
room.
god.
I had a netting like around my bed, like those princess nettings or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
It had butterflies on it. It was really nice. And the reason I wanted the netting was because I was having such bad time sleeping, and it made me feel safe, right?
Oh,
Because I
okay,
would just
okay.
put the netting all the way around my bed, and I was like, wow, I'm so safe in this little pod.
Yeah, 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 I get it.
So I had this netting, I really liked it, and the reason I moved my corner to the other side of the room, and because I was having such a hard time sleeping, one of the nights that I was sleeping before school, I woke up and there was a pillow over my face, and my netting was completely wrapped around my head and neck, and I couldn't breathe. And I remember like
Oh my
putting my
god.
hands under the netting and pushing it off of my face and just screaming. My dad came in and saw the netting. The netting was all the way around my body. It wasn't just my head.
Oh my
And
god.
yeah, my dad took it down. And
Yeah, I bet he did.
the next morning we pushed my bed to the other side of the room, and he was like, fair, fair.
Yeah.
And
Oh my
yeah, that is,
lord.
and that I thought was like a stupid dream I had. I don't know why. And he was like, no, that happened. He was like, I remember. He was like, you were terrified. He was like, you couldn't breathe, you told me. And I came in, and it was literally my entire pillow. And I was a light, still a light sleeper, but I was
Hmm.
a mega light sleeper then. And he was just like, there's no way that you could have done that to yourself.
Oh my god.
Which, yeah,
That's
it
terrifying.
is terrifying. Anyways, how about you?
Wow. Man, well, I feel like the story I have decided to share is not as weird, but I'm
It's
going to share
okay.
it anyway cuz so I have also been very sensitive for basically my whole life. I can remember things from when I was a kid all the way up until like relatively recently. I had even an experience like in the ALF that I work in. So, which was very creepy because it was the middle of the day. I was like, these things are not supposed to happen while I'm at work. What are you
Well, I'm
doing?
at work, maybe night
uh,
shift, but not right now.
yeah, no, that building is hella haunted. But that's not the story I'm gonna tell today. The story I'm gonna tell today is actually like when I'm like had very fresh out of high school. I'm talking like still in the summer after high school. I hadn't even started college yet.
Oh wow.
So, my cousin Stephanie, she was looking to buy a house, and the plan at the time was for me, I was going to move into the house with her because I, as you well know, helped her care for her daughter, who's my goddaughter, who is practically like my own daughter. So the plan was for me to move into the house with her. And so anytime she would go see a house, I would go with her, not because I had any say, but just because I was curious and I wanted to go. I
Yeah.
literally had zero say in whether or not she was going to buy a house. Um,
And also, like,
so
house hunting is so fun. I love looking at houses and being like, what were they thinking with this?
yeah, yeah,
It's just fun.
yeah, it was fun, except for this one time.
Except for
S-
this not time that it was definitely not fun.
yeah, so the town she was moving into a house in the same town that I grew up in. And I don't want to say it because she actually bought a house in that town, so I don't want to say it. But it was the town that I grew up in, and it was kind of like the town is like it's not very like long, but it's like wide. So in the back of the town, there is like the older houses, And this house that we looked at, the only pictures online were of like the kitchen, and the kitchen looked really nice, like all new appliances, all new cupboards. It was
So you're
really,
like, hell yeah.
yeah, so it looked really nice. And even the outside of the house like didn't look quite as nice, but it did not like raise any immediate red flags. So I went into the house, and I'm going to try to give you like a visual. So when you open the door, there was like a living room to your left, and then the kitchen was behind the living room, and then a little bit in front, and then to the right was a hallway to the bedrooms.
Okay.
So the kitchen was the only thing in this house that was nice. Everything
Oh.
else looked like a shithole.
Why did they
Um,
put so much effort into the kitchen and nothing else?
I don't know. So anyway, I don't know why we had decided to continue looking at this house. And so kind of from this point on, the story I'm telling you is from like what I have gathered from my mom, from my cousin, and from the realtor's account, because I have zero recollection after walking into the house.
What?
So apparently, what happened is they stayed to look at the house a little bit, and we had all, I guess, been like, "Oh, the kitchen is nice, but everything else is kind of a dump." Stephanie, I guess, had walked down the hallway to the right toward the bedrooms and had gone into the very end of the hallway, and on the left was the master bedroom, which was attached to a like a small bathroom. It had a toilet and a shower and a sink, and that was it. It wasn't a very big bathroom, but it didn't actually have a toilet, according to my mom, because when Stephanie walked into the master bedroom and turned again to the left to see the bathroom, she screamed bloody murder.
What the
She
fuck?
I don't know what it was about the bathroom. Like I said, I don't remember, but something about that bathroom like scared the shit out of her. She screamed and she was like, "I got to get out of here."
Whoa.
Meanwhile, the hallway, like there was an entrance to the attic in the hallway, but that entrance, you know how it's like a square and you just
Yeah.
like push up the thing and move it to the side and then you get a ladder and get in. Well, the thing that you push up and move it to the side was not there. So it was like this open hole in the ceiling.
Oh.
My mom stopped dead in her tracks. Something compelled me, apparently. I pushed past my mom into the master
No.
bedroom, and I just stood in the master bedroom.
What the fuck?
I didn't say anything. I didn't do
You just
anything.
walked.
Apparently, I just walked. I pushed past my mom. I was pulled to the master bedroom and I stood there.
I don't like that.
Everybody else left the house,
And you were just standing in there and they
and
left
I was
you in
just
there?
standing in there. Well, they thought I was following because everybody was like apparently like, "Okay, we should
Okay,
probably
we're
leave."
gonna go, yeah. And you were like,
So,
ah, bedroom.
yeah. No, so apparently they were like, "Okay, we're all gonna leave," and they didn't realize that I hadn't followed them out until like the realtor went to close the door,
God,
and I was still in the house.
I
And
hate it.
they called for me, and I did not respond. I did not leave the bedroom, and it wasn't until my mother, she said my real name, Angelica, I snapped out of it. I was like, "What the fuck?" And then
That's
I
so creepy.
booked it out of the house. Something
Do you
about that house
remember?
like had a hold of me.
Do you
I
remember
remember
anything at all?
no, I remember leaving the house.
But you don't
But
remember entering?
from the moment we opened the door and I looked at the kitchen, and then boom, that's it until I remember. Oh, I'm getting chills thinking about it. I remember, oh, we opened the door, we all stepped inside, I looked at the kitchen, and then blank.
What
It
the
is
fuck?
nothing until
Till you're leaving.
apparently I walked out of the house and I was like, I don't, what happened? I have no idea. And to this day, I don't know if anything like this is
Happened,
just, I
yeah.
don't know if I actually did do nothing in that room or not, because I was alone in there, and the account that I told you is just what I have gathered from stories that the realtor and Stephanie and my mom said.
What the fuck?
So did I sit
I
down in
wonder
the room?
what
Did I do something in the room?
I
I have
wonder
no idea.
what your cousin saw.
I
Did
don't
she ever
know.
tell you?
No, she said I mean, she said she didn't know why, but something about it just spooked her. She said
Weird.
she didn't know why she
She was just like,
screamed.
ew. Like
Yeah.
her body had such an adverse.
Yeah, so I
Maybe
don't know.
someone died in like that bathroom or something, you know?
Maybe, I don't know, cuz I mean, like there was no toilet in the bathroom, but that's not necessarily that big of a deal cuz
Okay,
like
not
you
enough to
replace a toilet.
scream.
Yeah.
You're like, ah, there's no toilet in here.
You
Like,
would probably, yeah. I mean, I feel like at most you'd be like, "Oh, I guess there's no toilet right
yeah,
now."
like
Like, you would be,
that's not a screaming thing, and if so, you're a little bit dramatic, I think.
yeah, so I don't remember that story.
Oh my god, that's really creepy. You're like, "Man, my story's not that interesting." And I'm like, "Bleh." Like, yeah, yeah, sure. You
So,
keep telling
yeah,
yourself that.
something had a hold of me that day, and I
Yuck. Yuck, yuck,
yeah,
yuck, yuck, yuck.
yep. Well, that
Ah,
was what a good listener's
I would say
story
this is
episode.
good. This is I hope it's
Yeah,
interesting.
I think it is. I was interested by all of those stories.
Well, definitely, if you want to submit things, please email us at ghoulgaminggals@gmail.com. It can be suggestions for future true crime, paranormal stories, or for listener stories. You know, follow our Instagram. Just look up Ghoul Gaming Gals. Look at our website, ghoulgaminggals.com. Just, yeah, interact with us. That way we can figure out what you people like.
Yeah, really. The next time there will be a listener story will be Friday, August 13th, 2021, because that is the next time there's a Friday the 13th. So, you have some time to tell your friends and submit some more stories to us.
Yeah, and if you guys want to watch us play games at some points, I have done some revamping on my Twitch, which I think Angel has seen now.
Mhm.
And I've been playing a lot of spooky, scary games like Phasmophobia and Dead by Daylight. So if you want to watch, just head over to twitch.tv/Janelle Nelly, and Angel's Twitch is
Arya Makila.
twitch.tv/Arya Makila.
Hmm.
And we will next week go back to our regularly scheduled programming. And I think that's it. Do you have
Yeah,
anything else?
I don't.
All right. Well, have a spooky Friday the 13th and weekend of spooks, especially because I feel like I didn't get enough Halloween this year.
Yeah, I feel like Halloween came up on us really fast.
It did. Well, have a good weekend, everyone, and stay safe. And as you're hearing this, Biden Harris 2020,
Yes!
bitches.
Thank God.
And goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye.